So far, we've seen new strides that are combo enablers, as well as opening different lines of play. But let's take a look at two particular strides that are more so in the category of game-breaking potential finishers.
Stand up! Vanguard!
Hey Cardfighters, welcome back to another Cardfight update, and today we have more awesome stuff for the upcoming P-Clan collection reveals. Now before we head into this video, if any of these new cards for the P-Clan collection reveals have you very excited, then don't forget to head over to Parkits to grab your early copies and your pre-orders for this set or even any other set, and don't forget to use the discount code, which is a brand new discount code, PK Time Leap. For some reason that sounds like a Pokemon move or maybe a Super Smash attack, but that's new discount code PK Time Leap to get 5% discount on your entire order, and this will work for basically anything that isn't already in a discount. So if you want to be prepared for the upcoming new premium landscape, then definitely don't forget to check out Parkits.com and use the discount code PK Time Leap. Now that said, let's take a look at this brand new stride, and we're gonna take a look at the stride that has been revealed for a couple of days now, which is the brand new Dark Regular stride, which is Deep Hades, Emperor of Ultimateness, 4 flags. And 4 flag has the ability, auto from G-Zone, at the end of the battle your grade 3 Vanguard attack your opponent's grade 3 or greater Vanguard. If your Vanguard is grade 3 and your soul has 13 or more cards, cost counterblast 1, and discard 5 cards from your hand and stride this card on your Vanguard circle as stand from face down. So essentially, this is a brand new way to stride, because usually if we have strides that allows us to stride into them for some reason, then they have to be face up, because otherwise we cannot activate their skill. But in this case, you don't have to do this. So if you went second and your opponent is grade 3 and you are also grade 3, you don't have to discard a grade 3 to stride. You can also use this effect to stride into it. And the interesting thing is that this by itself generates an extra Vanguard attack in any playstyle with a Dark Irregular. So this is the perfect card for any D plus strategy, or should I say standard plus strategy, or V premium plus strategy. So now we can combine this with Shaharot, maybe Baron Magnus, Greedon, or whatever type of archetype that relies on the turn 3 play, so they cannot stride because they're dependent on their Vanguard circle skill, and then use this on top of it to have one extra Vanguard swing on top of everything. And if we have rearguards that benefit from our Vanguard keeping attacking, this is a nice way to get one extra additional value off of those particular skills. But more interestingly enough, this card almost screams NLK, because it's yet another extender for NLK, because NLK, as we all know, is a grade 3, and it works with 13 soul, or I think 15 soul, but I believe 13 soul, which essentially is perfect for this. And we already know that NLK is very known to go into a combo with Baron Magnus, so you go NLK, Baron Magnus, and potentially kill your opponent. But now, if you have the extra counterblast, you could now get one extra attack on top of that, because now you can go NLK, Baron Magnus into this stride. Which sounds pretty good. Now, I'm not saying that this is going to be the new win condition for Dark Regulars, because this is pretty counterblast heavy, because every single Vanguard attack is an extra counterblast, so you might not have the resources to do that. That said, this does allow any other archetype to potentially outcompete with NLK, because now any other playstyle has that one extra Vanguard swing, which was the main selling point of NLK, because they could keep attacking with the Vanguard. So now that special trait is a little bit less special, because now every other deck can potentially extend one extra Vanguard swing. Now, of course, discard 5 is quite heavy, but what do cards in your hand matter if you're gonna win that turn? And that's the most important thing. I think this stride card is mainly something you go into if it's your finishing turn, because discarding cards don't matter as long as that's the last turn. So might as well get use out of it and allow those cards in hand to actually work towards a win condition. And at the same time, this also allows you to, if let's say for example you cannot really stride, and it might sound weird because you need to discount 5 cards, but you could have like 3 cards in hand which are like 2 grade 0s and a grade 2, or maybe a grade 2 grade 1s and a grade 0, and then you attack with your Vanguard, have to in drive, get those 2 cards in hand. Now you have 5 cards in hand. With that hand you couldn't stride, so this allows you to also get into a situation where if you couldn't pay for stride, you still have the advantage of gaining extra value off of your stride. But on top of that, this card also has an additional effect, which is auto. When this unit plays on the Vanguard circle, if your deck has 13 or less cards, choose up to 3 critical triggers from your soul, return them to your deck, and shuffle it. So this is an extra nice thing to not only combat deck out potentially, but it also increases the chance of actually hitting criticals. Now I know what you might be thinking. Why is this card really important if we have something like Blader Mouse? Because Blader Mouse is almost exactly the same thing. It's a resender, so 2 Vanguard swings. It puts all triggers back, so it's not only 3 criticals. But there is a distinct difference between the two. One, you need to be able to strike in the first place to go into Blader Mouse. 2, you need to be able to fulfill the Darkness ability. And believe me, I have seen situations where the Dark Regulars player can strike, but they cannot go into Blader Mouse because they cannot soul charge 1 card. If you're not able to do that, then the stride is basically vanilla. But there's also a 3rd edition. Blader Mouse doesn't benefit from the standard plus approach because you need to stride. So any other main phase ability or unattack skill from a grade 3 or whatever archetype you're playing is then shut off. With this stride, that's not the case. So it completely depends on how your deck is built, how it's supposed to function, and where you are in the game, where this can differ from Blader Mouse. And I can definitely see this being like a one-off tag option within the G zone for Dark Regulars because it's such a generic, versatile card that can always just suddenly out of nowhere pop its ugly head and just win you the game outright because your opponent wasn't anticipating this particular card being played that turn. Now on top of that, they also have a brand new G-Guard in the likes of Mayhem Force Wind Princess Near Jarvis. And Near Jarvis has the effect, although when units put on the Guardian Circle, cost counter +1, choose one of your opponent's units for every 10 cards in its soul, and they get critical -1 until the end of turn. 2 units and criticals if your soul has 20 cards. So this honestly is a pretty good G-Guard because in most circumstances, this is essentially the same as a Perfect Guard. Yes, the attack will still hit, so on-hit's supposed to activate, but in most situations that won't really apply all too much. And if you go turbo style, this even combats like critical triggers on the Vanguard swing or like double critical attacks, like say for example Morfessa turns, but mainly this allows you to mitigate the damage your opponent could generate. And even in the case where this could not guard the attack, it still is a way to mitigate the damage because you can lower the damage at least with 1. So if your opponent attacks with a multi-critical unit, you can at least remove 1 damage off the attack and still potentially survive. So it doesn't always have to be like the shield value is enough, but the -1 critical could definitely save you in certain situations. And if you turbo out soul, -2 critical probably will save you in a lot of situations. Now with Dark Regulars covered, that brings us to the other clan today for the brand new finishers. And in this case, that brings us to Granblue. And for Granblue, we have Pirate King of Darkness, Bartholomew. And Bartholomew has the effect, although Vanguard Circle, when this unit attacks, costs counter +1, choose up to 3 cards with different card names from your drop, call them to the Vanguard Circle, and the called units get power +5 until the end of turn. So essentially, this is a combo extender or a combo enabler just on the Vanguard for 1 counterblast, as calling for units essentially resets your board like we saw with Slishma for the Time Leap engine. You can basically do your combo, reset the board, and do your entire combo again. And with only 1 counterblast, that's really good value because you get 2 extra attacks that can extend in a lot more attacks for 1 counterblast, so it doesn't eat up your resources you're going to need for your other attacks. And that in itself is honestly already really good because it compares itself to other very strong finishers within Granblue that to some extent maybe eat more counterblast, like Megiddo for example. And you might think to yourself, wait, is Megiddo a lot better than this card? Maybe, but it all depends on your setup, and losing 2 counterblast from Megiddo either means that you have 1 counterblast less to extend in, or more importantly, your opponent could potentially damage deny you because they only give you 1 open counterblast. With this particular card in the arsenal, that means you cannot really effectively damage choke the Granblue player anymore because they have a play for 0 counterblast, 1 counterblast, and 2 counterblast. And then every other subsequent counterblast they have is going to go into their multi-attack combo. So yeah, that could be very problematic, but this on its own shouldn't really be an issue in itself. It's the second skill that breaks this card, because that second skill is Cadilla's Vanguard Circle. If your drop has 30 or more cards, when your opponent would call cards from their hand to the Guardian Circle, they must call 3 or more cards at the same time. Yeah, this skill is broken because now you can give every single attack the Super Battle Roar effect. And more importantly, it doesn't apply to the units he calls. So you can stride into this thing, multi-attack with your Vanguards, they all have this effect, and then you attack with the Vanguard, extend your multi-attacks to even more attacks, and they all will have this effect. And you might think to yourself, well, 30 cards is quite a hefty condition. Well, let me tell you, that's not. Granblue can get 30 cards in their drop zone, and I kid you not, on turn 2. If they really want to go that way, they can get this condition on their second turn. They can easily fulfill this condition on their first or second stride. No problem. So this could essentially just be a first turn kill stride. But it's 100% going to be a second stride kill turn. 100% of the chance. If they go to their second stride and they stride into this thing, you're probably gonna die, because this guard restrict is ridiculous, and the fact that they can have it on every single attack, yeah, that's pretty yikes. Like, if you fought more facile with the Battle Door effect on 5 attacks was annoying, that could potentially extend them more if they hit stand triggers. Wait until you see this, because Granblue can like do a mini infinite loop, and if you don't hit defensives, yeah, you're going to die. So, I personally think that this card is a mistake. Like, funny enough, when I initially saw this card, I thought like, this card isn't really that strong. It's kind of underwhelming. Then, someone explained to me what the actual value of this card is, and I realized we got a problem on our hands. Yeah, this card is insane. Granblue players are probably very excited about this card, and, something is going to give at some point. Now, besides, of course, having a new Bonker Stride, they also have a new G-Guard in the likes of Moonsing, Diabolic Princess, Oriana. And Oriana has the effect, although when his units put onto the Guardian Circle cost counter +1, and the attacking units gets critical -1 until the end of the battle for every 10 cards in your drop. Okay, so this is essentially the exact same G-Guard as the Dark Regulars one, but I'm gonna tell you right now, the Dark Regulars one is a lot weaker than this one. This one is insane, but the sheer fact that getting the drop zone is a lot easier than getting the soul, and as I already explained, Granblue players can accelerate to their 30 cards in drop zone very easily, which means you can -1 unit, -3 critical very easily, which means this is just a perfect card. This is a G-Guard disguised as a perfect card. There are only a very few exceptions where it isn't a perfect card, and that's against units with like 5 critical or 6 critical attacks. But even in those cases, this is a really good G-Guard against those attacks, because usually their win condition is those 5-6 criticals, and if you remove 3 criticals off those attacks, that means probably you destroy their win condition. So, yeah. Pretty good G-Guard. And with that said, that's basically everything that I want to cover with these new reveals. So overall, I think Dark Regulars is a questionable stride depending on which situation you're playing. I think it has a lot of potential. It could be a win more card in NLK. It could be a nice extra addition to like Shaharod, Amon, or any other like standard plus strategy you want to try to work out. At the very least, maybe it's not the most competitively viable card because the deck is already ridiculously strong and it's just a win more card. But for the casual and mid-tier range decks, I think this is a very nice addition because it literally powers up the base level of the clan, because every deck now has a second Vanguard swing, regardless of what deck you're playing. And in terms of the Granblue, yeah, the card is cracked, the G-Guard is cracked, Granblue as a clan is becoming more and more cracked. I'm worried about this, but we have to wait and see where this goes. This is easily probably the strongest support we've seen so far for any clan. And Granblue wasn't really a pushover in Premium to begin with, so yeah. But that's all my opinion. I want to know what you guys think of these cards, so let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, because there is probably a lot to talk about and a lot to say, so I'm very curious on what you guys have to say. Also, don't forget to head over to parkits.com if you're interested in any of these cards and ordering and secure your pre-orders, or whenever the pre-orders are live on the website. And don't forget to use the discount code PKTimeleap to get extra discount on your entire order. That said, I want to give a huge shout out to my Patreon supporters over patreon.com/insider. You guys are amazing. If you want to support the channel or everything that's happening on the channel, you can go to patreon.com/insider and become a patron today. But with that said, I've been Mr. Timeleap, and I see you guys in the next one!